I like to start here because I actually didn't start with marketing. I didn't study social sciences in school. I studied food science and technology, actually, from FUTO. So I got out of school and, of course, made my way straight into manufacturing. And I started my career in Nigerian breweries. So I always like to say I'm a certified brewer. So anytime you drink Heineken Star, now I'm marketing for Nigerian breweries. Anyway, just think of me. So I was there for 3 years. And I think the question is always, when I talk to people, why did you move from manufacturing, like I was running the lines, to marketing? And I think that really has to do with the fact that I think innately I'm a very curious person. So when I was running the plants, I used to have a lot of interactions with brand managers. So they will come in and say, oh, they want to change the recipe. I'm sure Michi will remember. They want to change the recipe or the label for Gulda or the bottle. And I used to wonder, but it's working so well. Why do you want to change it? And then they said, oh, it's the consumer. It's the consumer. So I got really curious. And actually, that's why I started saying, I want to go to the other side where I talk to this consumer. I understand why they want to change something that is running on my lines. So actually, that was just out of curiosity. I knew nothing about marketing. Actually, to show you, I used to think marketing was sales. Because then, when people come to sell to you, say they are marketers. So actually, I was like, okay, let me go try this. So I moved to P&G. And the reason I moved to P&G is anytime I opened any business book or magazine or whatever, they always talked about P&G and brand building. So I moved there in 2007. And I never looked back. So apologies to any manufacturing person. It's great I'm talking to CMOs. So I moved into marketing, and for the past 15 years, I've been doing marketing across board. I think I've been very fortunate to work across multiple countries, multiple regions, multiple brands and categories, and then different streams of marketing. So the very fluffy, nice advertising, equity building part, the last mile part of actually being in front of the consumers via any screen or in the stores. And then the other parts that people don't talk about, which is going to be interesting, is the commercial part. Because at the end of the day, any marketing person is first of all a business leader. You need to deliver the bottom line. So I've had that experience and then made my way into general management. We are talking about the evolving role of the CMO today. The truth is volatility, uncertainty, whatever name we want to call it, is our reality now. It's no longer scenario planning that we used to do. You do the scenario planning and you're almost sure it won't happen. Now, actually, uncertainty, we need to plan for it from day one. So, as we are thinking about the evolving role of the CMO, I think I want to start with the behaviors or the leadership traits, so to speak. And it's about, one, adaptability. I know we hear it all the time, and we know it, so it's not a new concept. And adaptability actually is an acceptance that change is inevitable, it's a part of our lives now, and really embracing it. Just when you think you've mastered how a platform works, a new app is launched, it becomes a new rave, or even the old app, suddenly the algorithms change, and then you need to move. So the time where we used to produce beautiful TV content, put it on TV, and just go to sleep more or less and just hope that the media team or the media agency is doing their work, it's over because today the change is constant. And it's not just from a marketing point of view, from even the lives that we live every day. I think after COVID, everybody realized that, yes, change is inevitable, but are we adapting the way we should? The second thing, leadership trait I want to talk about is really the delicate balance between long-term and short-term. And I think that this is where some companies keep asking about the value that marketing is bringing. Traditionally, because we are really focused on building the equity of the brand, so most of the time we think long-term, which is great because even in the middle of uncertainty, you still need to have a vision of where you are going, even if things are evolving and changing around you. And that's why when marketing leaders don't evolve their thinking, finance takes over. Like a lot of companies, there are CFOs that are doing the job that historically marketing should have been doing, which is about driving growth for the future and for today, of course. So it's maintaining that delicate balance. It's great to have the vision. It's great to have the long-term view because that's what keeps the business going. But it's also being adaptable to realize, okay, today, what do I need to change to deliver what I have here? The third one is being really hyper-aware and engaged. and not being taken by surprise as the trends are changing, as consumer habits and behaviors are changing. So I start with the digital clutter. So there was a time we used to say, we don't have data, we don't know what's happening. And then we moved from that to we have so much data, people are overwhelmed. There's something we call in P&G analysis paralysis, like you perpetually keep digging through the data and you're so overwhelmed with it. So one is, how do we dig through this clutter or this myriad of data to actually uncover the insights that would grow the business? Versus just having these charts and these slides that look pretty on presentation, but it's not making a difference to the bottom line. How do we then get ahead of the noise, or above the noise? Because there is so much going on. I think the first one is we need to really define the role of each platform we want to play on. As tempting as it would be to look hip and cool and be available everywhere, you really do need to understand, is this where my consumer is? The consumer of my brand. Which platform is he or she spending time consuming, engaging with? So even if there is the push and the pressure to be on TikTok or Snapchat, which is great if you are targeting the certain type of audiences, but at the end of the day, every platform is not for every brand. I think being courageous and decisive to say, this platform is not for me, or this is for me. I think that's the first thing. What's the role of the platform? And when that role is defined, then what content? Then there's a lot of cancel culture now. So before, brands could, actually in Nigeria, brands are still getting away with it, but it's coming, where you can actually be neutral when there are social issues and just keep your head down and keep going. The rest of the world is not. The consumers want to know your stance. And my favorite one, which is what I started with, which is why we get all the flack from business leaders, from the GMs, from finance, is what's the value of what you are bringing to the table? We need to find a way to honestly communicate the value of our campaigns, whether it's a campaign, whether it's a promo, whatever it is, whatever kind of marketing plan. And especially if it's a new thing. The truth is, one, there are options. And this is where I'm very passionate about piloting things. So just whatever that idea is, run a pilot. Very few CFOs will have an issue with something that is small scale. So that's one. Then, of course, when you have the data, you can then much better optimize the marketing funnel. This is what digital has brought to us. Now, in other markets, it is super easy to do this because you have the data from the first contact with the consumer till finally the purchase. Nigeria, we are still behind. But having said that, whatever data we manage to have, the intent is to actually optimize the marketing funnel and, of course, increase the returns on investment. Yeah. Okay, this is, again, we might think it's very slow in Nigeria, but if you are a legacy company, it is here, exactly. It is here. These guys are everything that we should be, but we are not. They're extremely agile. They understand their consumers to they can predict their purchase pattern. They actually can predict that because they've invested in understanding them. They are very agile. They respond very fast. Any kind of issues that happen online, they've removed all the barriers between the manufacturer or the brand and the consumer. You know, when we used to talk about Gen Zs, is the picture of my 13-year-old son that comes to mind. Actually, a lot of these people are already in the workforce. A lot of them have purchasing power. They are the people that you are trying to reach. So when you are designing your marketing, your content, your plan, just remember that you are trying to speak to someone that is in this generation. And what does it mean? They are the guys that really want inclusion. They are very vocal. They don't have any issues, back to cancel culture, going on Instagram or Twitter, yes, and really, in quote, drag your brand. Like this, they don't have any, I want a better word, conscience towards doing that, you know? So at the end of the day, these are the people that we need to buy our products. They need to buy our brands. We want to engage with. What makes them tick? One is, again, attention span. They don't have time for all the long content. So we need to understand consumers' wants and needs beyond just the job to be done from a functional point of view, but understand their mindset, what matters to them, and know that these Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, by the way, very soon, give it 5 years, 10 years, they'll be the bulk of your consumers, and we need to evolve. If we don't evolve, we can be replaced, and we are being replaced already in some companies where you have, the CFOs. I love finance, by the way, so this is not against the CFOs, but it's a reality. The CFOs are replacing marketers. And then now there's a new role called Chief Growth Officer, which you need to go figure out what it is. Long story short, what they want is a marketer that has financial acumen and commercial acumen. But they don't say that. They want a chief growth officer. Actually, that's what marketing is supposed to be doing, being at the center of the business strategy and driving it through the brands. So I'm going to just quickly run through some of the courses that we have supported. One is, again, back to making sure that whatever you support has to be at the core of your brand. It doesn't have to be something controversial, actually. It can just be doing good, by the way. And one of these, the one that is really, really close to me because I spent a lot of time on this brand, is always keeping girls in school. Initially, before I started working on the brand, when I heard the data that girls actually do miss school because of their periods, I didn't believe it. I thought it was just, again, some of those data that we throw around as marketers to evoke emotion. But then I actually, after spending time with these girls, realized that it's true. So always is committed to ending period poverty wherever it exists in different countries. And there are different ways to do it, whether it is in partnering with your consumers to donate or actually doing it all by yourself. Okay, the next one. And then this is not from Nigeria, but I like this one as well. And this campaign is on YouTube, so please look at it later. Pantene was perceived as a very old brand in the Philippines because it's been there for like forever. But then they wanted to really evoke an emotional response with their consumers. And based on the culture in the country, they decided to then launch this campaign, which was Be Bold, Be Strong, and Shine. And it was called Labels Against Women, where when a guy and a woman, or a man and a woman, display similar characteristics, somehow it's acceptable to come from the man, but it's labeled negatively when it comes from the woman. This was them taking a stance against gender inequality. And then another interesting one, this is from India, which is Share the Load. At the end of the day, laundry and taking care of the home, they were really challenging the mindset that it is a woman's job. To say, at the end of the day, this woman comes back from work as well as the man, and they also need a break. So Share the Load at home is not exclusively for the women. Of course, they used the brand Ariel and laundry. Thank you, Wando. And they used laundry because it was Ariel talking about it. But at the end, it really, really triggered conversations in the country. The kind of end media that they had from this campaign completely blew the minds of the brand teams. So they've been running it every season. And they find another angle to talk about sharing the load. This is what P&G says, but it's the same cry for everyone. We can be a force for growth, which is our brands, and a force for good. And we can do both. And this is how we bring back and really elevate the relevance and the value that marketing people are bringing to the table. While you are driving the bottom line, driving market share, but use your voice. Brands are extremely, extremely, extremely powerful. Use your voice to support a cause that is close to the heart of your consumers and build the emotional connection with them through the storytelling, because at the end of the day, that's what marketing is now. Be curious. Do not lose your sense of curiosity, because that is why the only way you would unlock the consumer insights that can actually fuel the innovation, whether in product or service or in marketing or in business model. And really be courageous. Put up your hands for the tough assignments. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be the person that is known as the fluffy marketer, is only the do good things, nice arts. If there are tough projects in the company, in the team, put up your hands for them. Be a catalyst for change. I know I've talked about change so much, so I'll just put a warning. It doesn't mean that you vacillate between opinions every second, but being able, in the face of superior data, new evidence, against a framework, then be courageous enough to change your mind. It doesn't really mean that you flip-flop from one idea to the other. So just to note that part. And then be a connector. This is extremely important. If we want to play the role that we want to play, we need to be the ones integrating the other functions, whether it is internally in our functions or external with consumers and with the customers. And we need to be data-driven. We need to be influential and persuasive. And then at the base of all this, have a compass that guides you. Have a personal purpose, personal vision, and find a way to actually fit that in with what you are doing on your brands. So if you are someone, for instance, that is really into gender equality, supporting the girl child, which is something I do in my spare time, which is why the always plan for me is not just about building a brand, is at the core of who I am. So you need to figure out who you are and what really drives you. And that is the compass that you just keep looking at that helps you to maintain your true north.